Hello YouTube, I'm back. It's been a few days. Been working on a few things. This is level 18, which is kind of the beginning of what I consider the second half of this mod. And where a lot of things are introduced. For example, the officers, which if you're not paying attention will shoot you in the face and kill you immediately upon opening the first door in this level. So I felt like it was a good way to introduce a new enemy. And this first area is very hairy to deal with, and I had a lot of trouble. Even though I played it plenty of times, I actually was quite frustrated with this level. Maybe it was I should have been playing with the sound on instead of off. Because I think the harder the level is, the more enemies there are, like, the more you don't know how many enemies are in certain areas, and so yeah, I really should have been doing that. Would have avoided some frustration. But yeah. This level is difficult and frustrating, but there are a lot of secrets around, and I honestly think that a lot of the difficulty was me insisting on starting out with 8 ammo and a pistol, which I might stop doing after this point. I don't know. But yeah, for a level I did, this has a peculiar amount of secrets that are in kind of easy to figure out places. I guess that makes up for the introducing the new key and the new guys, but yeah, both this and the next map are very sort of action-packed and kind of room to room you're doing something, which is kind of a barrage or whatever. And I felt like I wanted to design maps like that. I think this one and the next one especially were sort of like mini homages to a couple of the first Wolfenstein maps I ever made that I lost, and I was just like had remembered the first parts of them, and so I think I wanted a place to use them, and I figured introducing the new key or whatever was the best place, because any later in the game it wouldn't have really worked, because these are smaller levels, but I realize how difficult they are upon playing this, especially those guys hidden behind barrels. It's really difficult to deal with, and like in DOSBox, I remember running fast when I made this, because I ran Windows, and Windows could still run DOS games, so like it ran pretty fast, and like I was able to move around quickly. And DOSBox, there's slowdown now occasionally, and there are things I can do to speed it up, but it probably runs more accurately to the speed that Wolfenstein should have ran at the time. And it makes dealing with those it kind of balances the game differently. It makes dealing with the SS guys and the officers in particular really annoying, like a lot more kind of hard. It makes them harder to deal with, and it makes the chain gun sort of more vital to use. But you don't always have ammo, which is why I think after this point I'm gonna just start out with whatever ammo and health I have instead of restarting, because it's too much of a hassle. But yeah, I don't know, like these, and from levels 18 to I think 26 is the last one. That's the boss level. Those are all sort of castle levels, and then there's a secret that you get to from level 19, the next one. It's a pretty cool secret level. Unfortunately, the path to the secret level is I don't even know if it's possible anymore. It used to work. I don't know why it stopped working. It had to do with the amount of like units the push wall moves. Because it used to use 3 when I know the Wolfenstein default is 2, but I don't know if I changed it or something changed in the engine or something, but it moved 3 almost reliably every time when I used it. So I made that secret depending on that, and it's impossible because of that. I think there are a few other secrets that are like that. Fortunately, not too many. That's the only one that I think was vital to getting to, the next area, because you just get trapped otherwise, with, again, no way to kill yourself. So that's incredibly frustrating. Certainly not something intentional. Yeah. I was so excited to play this level, and then I realized how frustrating it is to play when it's not running faster, and when I'm not sort of familiarized with fighting these officer guys. And I haven't played these levels for a while either. It made the experience a lot more unpleasant and a lot more kind of dangerous. I was really fond of these when I'm like the castle levels in particular, when I made them, because it felt like, more like other Wolfenstein levels, and they were, a challenge, and they had all the enemies, all the normal enemies, didn't have the mutants. And those were my favorite levels at the time. Maybe they'd be like some of my least favorite now, because my preferences are different, like something that was like fast and played pretty well. Maybe I thought of as better at the time, but I don't necessarily think of that as better now. So, I don't know. Maybe it's my instinct to, like, in the past few years, the past year or so especially, to like reevaluate things that I liked, and, I have a tendency to like things that I used to hate, and hate things that I used to like. So maybe that'll happen. I don't know. But I am skeptical of, when I was proud of something. Like, what did that mean? I think it was just like, these came easier. And, I'm glad that I only did 2 of these shorter levels. Oh, here's the chain gun room, which is weird because it's so hard to get the chain gun. Like, it's pretty much impossible to get the chain gun if you don't already have the chain gun. Like, there's nowhere to hide, really. And, like, there's a chain gun in the secret right by the key that's an easy secret to get, so it really doesn't make sense that it's there. I think I should have put like an extra life there or something. That would have made a lot more sense, because you could run forward and grab it as you were losing health and run back, but I didn't. I'll show me running through that chain gun room later in a little bit, just so you can see it. I like that it's filled with maps, though. It's like the secret map room that you're not supposed to be in. Has the plans. There are a few little areas in here that are just copied from levels in episode 3 in particular, and they're very sort of small rooms, and you wouldn't really know or think, and there wasn't really any reason for me to copy them anyway, because I basically could have recreated the feel, but I had this, idea that, like, the original was magical, and so I could take pieces of that and recontextualize it, and I don't know. There's, even if I recreated it, it wouldn't feel the same as if I had copied it directly in. And copying it directly in was like, copying all the things that I didn't understand or that were a mystery about it, even though that isn't the case. But that's what I thought. It was sort of a belief in this kind of magic mystery that maybe was a belief in the wrong sort of things, like not really understanding what really made it good in the first place. But just trying to almost desperately to recreate it or re-experience it. I think I was talking to somebody earlier today who is a game designer, and I was saying that I think a lot of my referencing I'm skipping. I skipped my whole attempt back through this level because it's just, you've seen it all already. And this room is entirely pointless. Aside from, you can't even get that ammo as far as I know. Which is pretty cruel. Wish that was, it would totally make sense if it were an extra life. Okay, anyway. And then now back to me getting that key that I couldn't get the first time. I was talking to somebody just a few hours ago about this. How I think, making this game was a way for me to kind of exhume and try to re-experience the emotions that I had felt playing the original game that were very much buried in my normal life, and I felt very depressed and very cut off from my emotions. And by taking parts of the original and sort of putting them into this new world, this new package or whatever, I would be able to understand something more about it, or experience some sort of emotions that I couldn't experience anymore, or that were sort of buried. And now, a lot of things have happened in my life. I've started taking hormones and dealing with, a lot of stuff from childhood, and I can feel those emotions that felt very buried at the time when I was, 13 or 14. And I understand a lot better what was going on and what was going through my head, and it wasn't, this inarticulable thing. And so this game becomes something different. It becomes what would this experience be to somebody else? And that's almost more interesting to me now, because that's a mystery, How does somebody else, especially somebody who, might not be as familiar with all the references to the original map, if you remove all that stuff, what is the experience like? And how does it feel and stuff? And that's why I think going back, the more sort of original maps, which I might have felt less confident in, are more interesting because they're more of a mystery, where did they come from? Instead of things that were, my versions of levels that already existed, or, copied in some way from the original. This room is, I don't think it's entirely, but it's based around a room in episode 4, level 4, I think. Anyway, stay tuned for level 19.